Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NGEN Markets webinar. I would like to warmly welcome you all on behalf of NGEN Research. Before really diving into the webinar, let me just introduce the topic for today. What we will really do is we'll get an understanding of mutual fund analytics with respect to a specific mutual fund. So for that, we will initially have a look at its performance and compare it with dynamic benchmarks. What I really mean by dynamic benchmarks is we will have a look at how the performance catches up with a category average. In addition to that, we will also check how does it measure up with the index. It could be any index really. So depending upon the fund that we choose, it could be a flexi, it could be with respect to a Nifty 50. If we really choose a small cap or a mid cap, we can definitely go ahead and compare its performance with a small cap index, or of course with a mid cap index. We have a list of indices available for benchmarking. We will definitely have a look at that. Next, we will also have a look at the asset allocation and the holding analysis. What we will really do in holding analysis is we will have a look at how the position changes month on month with respect to mutual fund holdings are really reflected in NGEN Markets. If we really choose any arbitrage funds, we will also be able to have a look at the short positions that the fund has, basically the hedging positions and the derivative shorts that are really taken as a position by such mutual funds. Those will also be available in NGEN Markets. Next, we will have a look at how does the fund measure up with respect to its peers, right? So we'll have a look at all the return parameters. How does it measure up with its peers? And of course, towards the end of it, we will have a look at the statistical returns distribution analysis. What this returns distribution analysis tells you is in a given monthly frequency, let's say, for example, a single day, single month, or a single week, in this frequency, what will be the best case and what will be the worst case returns that will be generated by the specific mutual fund that we have chosen, right? So we'll have a look at this distribution analysis. Lastly, we will throw the forum open for a Q&A session wherein you can get your questions answered by our team. You could do that by directly unmuting yourself or typing in your questions in the chat box. So let's begin with our webinar today. For that, let me just go on NGEN Markets. This right here is our platform. For that, let's just choose a fund from this fund section. So as I was saying, how do you do that? So just click on filter categories. Once you do that, just choose any bucket that you're looking for. So we were, we have definitely chosen Kotak FlexiCap as the highest AUM attractor fund in the equity bucket. You can do this specifically for anyone. Just choose the category. And once you do that, all of the funds pop up and you can just click on AUM. And it gets sorted in descending order. So in aggressive, all the debt category, that hybrid category that we have chosen, SBI Equity Hybrid Fund attracts the highest AUM. So you can check which of the funds are currently attracting maximum AUM from this filter category specifically. Now let's move ahead to our specific fund related analytics. For that, I've loaded in Kotak FlexiCap in a new tab. And now I can check its performance with the benchmarks that are right here. So how do you change the benchmark? So until now, we definitely could on NGEN Markets go ahead and add in any index. Basically, you could add in all the NSE indices, BSE, all of that. But now what we can also do is add the SEBI category average and compare the performance of this fund vis-a-vis the category average. So here we can know, is the fund that is currently attracting a maximum AUM, is it really beating the category average and of course its peers with respect to its returns performance. So how do you do that? Just come to the benchmarks tab on the right hand side. Just load in, because this is a fund from a FlexiCap category, I will just load in FlexiCap as a category average right here. And once I do that, this fund's performance is being now benchmarked with the category average that I've chosen. Let's just, we are now checking this from 2009. And we can see that this fund has managed to beat the category average from that time. How do you do a drill down analysis on the returns? So just scroll down and you have the Sharpe ratio parameters right here. So from 2009, the Sharpe ratio of this fund is 0.39 vis-a-vis the benchmark, which is our category average. The category average's Sharpe's ratio in FlexiCap as a category is only 0.34. Right, so this fund definitely beats the category average on the Sharpe ratio parameter, which is an indicator of risk-adjusted returns that are generated by any given fund. Let's now move ahead and look, does it really catch up in bull markets and the bear markets? So how do you do that? We have given up capture and down capture ratios, which will definitely solve this purpose. You just have to click on this I button, and when you do that, a drill down gets opened, and this will tell you in any bull market, the benchmark, which is the category average, goes up by 58.39%, of course, month on month, cumulatively, 58.39%. And the mutual fund that's under consideration catches up pretty closely. That's why we have a very high up capture ratio, very close to 100. Right, a 99.89 that signifies this. So it catches up in any bull run with the category average returns as well. Now let's check how does it do in a bear run. So how do you do that? Just in the down capture ratios, just click on this I button, and we can check that even in the down capture, when the markets are falling and having some volatility, as is the current scenario, some days up, some days down, and when it falls, it definitely falls by more than 300 points. So we can check the down capture ratios with respect to the fund performance right here. So the category average reports a negative performance of 34.02. And of course, our fund that we have chosen definitely has a point better than it. So it falls, but definitely 2 points lower, 2% lower than it. So that's definitely a good thing about the fund that we have chosen. That can also be corroborated, the down capture ratio, a better down capture ratio with respect to the benchmark can also be corroborated right here. If it would have been a worse performer, we would have definitely seen that in the historical value risk. Let me now add in a benchmark. Instead of now we have definitely looked at category averages, let me now benchmark this performance of this fund against let's say a Nifty 50. So how do you do that? Just click on NSE, go on this drill down and choose Nifty 50 as its benchmark. And now all the performance that you can see from here on will definitely be benchmarked against Nifty 50. So changing benchmarks is very easy. Right, you could also load in any custom benchmarks as well. So you need not stick to whatever we have provided. You can definitely make combinations of it and create your own custom benchmarks by clicking on this custom benchmark and give it an allocation of your choice. So we have created some benchmarks for you, which gives allocations in multiple combinations to Nifty TRI and CISL bond index. You could use this, or you could also create your own custom benchmarks by clicking on this custom option. Fine. So let's just understand how this performs. So with respect to Nifty 50 as a benchmark, I can see that this fund, Kotak Flexi Cap, definitely has a slight better downside risk protection, which is given by the historical value at risk parameter. What this parameter tells you is with a 95% confidence interval, that is 95% of the times, this fund's return has historically backtested to negative 24.41% in the worst case scenario, right? So there's only a 5% chance that this fund will has given returns which are worse than negative 24.41, vis-a-vis the benchmark, which can during the same time go down up to negative 25. Of course, a slight better performance, but definitely a good thing when you're having a look at the risk parameters in any mutual fund analysis. Right? So you should definitely have a look at the value at risk as a parameter. Now, moving ahead, let's now go down and have a look at the alpha that is being generated by this fund vis-a-vis the benchmark that we have chosen. So we have chosen to benchmark it against Nifty 50, and we can see that since 2009, annually, this fund has managed to generate an excess of 12.50% vis-a-vis the benchmark. That also can be corroborated in the information ratio, which is a ratio of the annual return over benchmark, excess annual return over benchmark upon the tracking error. So when a positive alpha will be there, information ratio will always be positive. If this would have been a negative alpha, basically no excess over benchmark, information ratio would have been negative, right? So this is how you can make out of these ratios right here. Moving ahead, we can also check the month-on-month performance of this fund with, of course, with respect to its total months and of course up and down months. So because we have it from a lot of, I mean, it's 2009 onwards, that's why it's a little crowded. Let me just go and change the start date to, let's say, 5 years ago. So changing the start date is of course easy. Just click on change in the start date, put it to 5 years ago, and we now have it from 20th of March 2018. And if we scroll down, we have a month-on-month performance of this fund from 2018, of course, till yesterday. So basically, yesterday's closing prices will be updated. We had total 61 months. Out of them, up months with respect to the returns performance of the mutual fund were 38. That amounts to 62% positivity rate, positive months, and 37% down, that is 23 negative months. That's monthly statistics. Yearly statistics are also available right here at the on the right hand side, right? Let's move ahead to the next topic, which is asset allocation. In asset allocation, we will have a look at overview as well as position changes month on month as well as over time. So what were the highest increases and the decreases? We'll have a look at that as well. Because of course this was a flexi cap category fund, we do not have some short positions here, though, which are generally typically a feature of maybe arbitrage funds or aggressive hybrid funds. Let me just, before giving an overview of asset allocation of this, let me just show you how NGEN also captures shorts, which are generally a feature of any arbitrage fund. So for an example's sake, I have loaded in Tata Arbitrage Fund. And as you can see, in line with its investment objective, it has definitely done some hedging in its portfolio. So you can check that. You just have to load that in a new tab, come to asset allocation, and you can see a red label showing up right here, which says 133 derivative shorts found. If you want to have a quick look at that, just click on show shorts, and you have these negative percentage allocations right here, which represent short positions taken by the fund manager, right? And you can definitely have a look at what are the hedging positions that, so generally what is done is equal amount of positive positions and short positions, long and short positions, and that's how arbitrage funds really work. So you can have a look at those hedging positions as well in NGEN Markets. You just have to load in any arbitrage fund, just come to asset allocation, and you'll have it right here, right? Let me just go back to the fund that we were analyzing, Kotak Flexi Cap. And now we can check its holding analysis. All of these holdings that this mutual fund holds in, everything is listed right here in the all holdings tab. Of course, this will be updated as on 28th of February 2023. That's the latest available holdings data that was received from Amphi. When 31st March goes by, we will have 31st March holdings data updated as well. Within the next 10 to 15 days of April, we'll have it updated for 31st of March holdings as well. So all of the holdings, we do not even leave one of them. All of them are right here listed in the order of highest to lowest percentage holdings. So as we can see, as on 28th of February 2023, this fund had highest position in ICICI Bank, which is amounting to 9.46% out of the entire portfolio of this fund, right? That can definitely be checked. That's the concentration analysis, right? If you can also check that there are some amount of cash and mutual fund portions. So we capture literally everything. We have not left even the 1.2% of the holdings of the portfolio as well. Let's now have a look at how the position changes were made by the fund month on month. So this is with respect to previous month. So that's basically vis-a-vis January, how the position changes were made as on 28th of February 2023. So the largest increases, as was also visible in the overview tab, the highest position was in ICICI Bank, and this increase seems to be very, very recent. Vis-a-vis January, we have in February, the fund really bought in ICICI Bank. That was the largest increase, close to 0.42% in February. On the other hand, the new positions that were taken by this mutual fund, those are listed right here. So that you will see that in the positions added. So ITC, the position was added in ITC to an extent of 0.54%, and that's visible right here. Similar to increases, you can also have a look at the largest decreases, and of course the positions removed. That you can be checked in position changes by month and right here, right? Let us have a look at how the holdings changed month on month by security as well as by sector. Let's first check how did it change sector by sector. You just have to come to positions over time and click on by sector. So here we have for the last 12 months. So that's 28th February is recent, and we can go back until 28th of February 2022, right? With this month, how were the position changes month on month with respect to the sectors that are listed right here? So what are these green and red codings that tell you, was it a month on month increase or was it a month on month decrease in a specific sector by the specific fund? So we can check from 31st of October 2022, there has been for the next 2 months, basically, there was an increase in the holdings in banks as a sector, and that's visible right here by the color coding of green, which is 28.11 green color coded. And then in January, there was definitely a decrease. This could also be due to the market losses faced by banks as a sector, and that we will definitely have a look in the security by security analysis. Right. In January, there was definitely a basically reduction in positions, and allocation to banks as a sector definitely reduced. And of course, in February, it definitely increased to 27.59. Let us now check this by security. So once you change it by security, you also have an option to check it in shares in lakhs. So not just in percentages, you can also click on this shares in lakhs. And here is where you can understand, was it a mark-to-market loss because of which the positions really reduced, or was it actual addition or deletion, right? When I just click on shares in lakhs, for example, I can see that in this specific stock, Zydus Life Sciences, as on 31st of December 2022, 120 lakh shares were held. And of course, in January, that really changed by 1 lakh odd shares. 1 lakh shares were sold. And that's the reason this allocation has changed, right? You can get a in-depth analysis of it when you come to buy securities. And of course, choosing in this drop down, choose by shares in lakhs. You will definitely have an in-depth allocation of it right there. Next, let's move ahead and have a look at its peers and how does this fund match up with its peers. For that, just click on this peers tab, which is the third tab in mutual fund analytics. And we can see the SEBI classification average is right here. So as we could see even in the previous a few minutes, that this fund has definitely managed to beat the category average, and that's visible even here. It has a CAGR of 12.97, close to 13%, vis-a-vis the category average of only 10.06%. But let's check if it is in spite of attracting the highest AUM, is it really being able to beat its peers? So for that, let's check CAGR right here for this. Just click on this CAGR, and we have the data sorted in a descending order, and we can see there are some funds in the flexi cap category which are actually generating a better CAGR than the fund under consideration, which is, by the way, attracting highest AUM. Right. So in spite of that, we also have some funds which are performing much better with respect to CAGR. Of course, for an example, I've taken CAGR as a parameter. And there are a couple of funds, rather more than that, close to 10 odd funds, which are really performing better than this fund with respect to the CAGR returns that are being generated. And that's visible right here, right? We can just click on one year returns of it as well. So if you just click on 1 year returns generated by this fund, And all of this data gets classified, sorted in ascending and descending order. And we can see that HDFC FlexiCap, JM FlexiCap, ICICI Prudential FlexiCap, all of these have managed to perform better than the fund under consideration, right? You can also have a look at which of the funds are really performing better than this vis-a-vis the benchmark, of course, and of course the peers in the compare section as well. I will right now go there and show you how you can check that. So in the compare section, just load in the fund that you were loading. So it was I think all of the FlexiCap categories. So just let me just add in the entire FlexiCap category in the SEBI categories. All the 35 funds will get loaded, and I can check right here which of them have managed to generate a better CAGR than the fund that we have been checking in the compare section also. So peer comparison is definitely possible at two places. One is definitely in the fund, new fund loading in a new tab, and of course in the compare section as well. So because we had chosen a 5 years ago start date, let me just make sure that I'm loading the same right here. Click on go. And I can check in this entire FlexiCap as a category, Bank of India FlexiCap fund, which is just 2.75 years old, has been generating the highest CAGR. Of course, the AUM that it has is definitely very, very low. It's only 334 crores. But in spite of that, the fund is generating a better CAGR. And where does Kotak FlexiCap appear? So it is right here. So all of the funds that you can see above this line have been beating the Kotak FlexiCap fund with respect to their CAGRs, right? So that peer comparison is also available in the compare section. Let's now move ahead and have a look at the distribution analysis. What distribution analysis tells you is with respect to the returns that were generated by this fund in 3 buckets. So we have a drop down, 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month. Let me just show you how 1 day returns of this fund pan out with respect to from, of course, 2018. So I just have to choose 1 day from the drop down and click on run. So now let me interpret this for you. So what does this mean? From 2018 onwards, there have been 1,234 observations, meaning there have been 1,200 odd working days from 2018. Out of these 1,200 odd working days, the highest graph, which is 859 days, were such when single day return of the fund ranged between the intervals that you're seeing right there at the top. The interval was negative 0.45 to positive 1.57. So what does this mean? So out of the total 1,200 observations, 69% days were such when single day return out of the fund was ranging between negative 0.45 to positive 1.57, right? Let's say you want to check the best case scenario, the best single day return that were generated by this fund. What do you need to do? You just need to go to the extreme right hand side. Whichever graph you can see on the extreme right hand side will give you the best case scenario. So for that, I'm just hovering on this graph to the extreme right, and I can see that out of these 1,200 working days that we have since 2018, there were 54 such days when single day return of this fund ranged between positive 1.5 to positive 3.60. That's definitely not bad, right? A single day return from a mutual fund. This is not a stock, mind you. This is a mutual fund, and it is generating a single day return of 1.57 to positive 3.60. Right? This is the best case scenario. Now, how do you check the worst case scenario? So what was the single day loss, worst single day loss, of course. For that, I just have to scroll. I have to go to the extreme left-hand side, and the bar graph that I can see on the extreme left, which represents the most negative, basically worst return. I just have to hover on that, and I can see there were 20 such days. The frequency, you can see 20, right? So that means there were 20 such days out of 1,234 working days, right? From 2018 onwards till yesterday, there were 20 such days where a single day return from this fund was as low as negative 4.51 to negative 2.48. That's definitely that is definitely what you can check. So these were the worst. And if you want to check an average, that's specifically this bar. So average will, I mean, this is the mode of it, basically maximum number of the time. So 859 days out of 1200, that is more than 60%. That's 69 to be specific, when the returns ranged between this return range. Now we check this for a single day return. You could also check this for a single week or a single month. You just have to click on this drop down. Let's just for an example consider 1 month and click on run. When you click on run, this data will get updated. And now the interpretation of course stays the same. What really changes is the number of observations, of course, because we changed it to monthly frequency. We can check from 2018 onwards. There have been 62 months, right? Total number of months from 2018 till March of 2023. There have been 62 months. And in these 62 months, 37 months were such, basically the highest number. 37 months were such wherein a single month return in this that was generated by this fund ranged between negative 0.6 to positive 5.06. That analysis you can definitely do. Now you can also tweak the intervals. So you can see that currently the x-axis basically at the bottom, you can see the intervals are 10, right? There are 10 currently. You can also increase this number. Increasing this number will give you in detail. It will basically increase the frequency. I mean, it will give you a better allocation. Let's just hypothetically increase this to let's say 50, and click on run. So you can see the average is further down. So we can see this x-axis, the intervals have gotten increased, and we can see that the frequency, basically the number of months, have gotten distributed. And this is what is the distribution analysis, returns distribution analysis. So we can see the mode meaning the highest number of observations. So we can even hover on this. There were 10 such months wherein single month return ranged between this percentage, right? You can definitely increase such months to up to 10,000. You can just build such scenarios and run a distribution analysis on that. You can definitely check this, right? That's about the distribution analysis. That specifically brings an end towards this topic related webinar discussion. Before throwing the forum open for a Q&A, I will quickly show you the export options that you can do out of this mutual fund analytics that we just saw. Let me just show you a detailed 3-pager PDF report that can be generated. We have now introduced a password protected PDF option. So if suppose you want your client to access all of these reports that you are generating, just create a password at the time of generation itself. So I'm just generating a random password and then click on create PDF. Once you do that, the PDF gets downloaded, and once you send it across to the client, it will be prompting to put in the password. Unless the password is put, the PDF will not open. And this is how the analytics will look like. This is the detailed 3-pager report that I have just downloaded. You can definitely have a look at it. We also have 1-pager and 2-pager concise reports right there at the on the left hand side of this. I'm showing a detailed 3-pager report. We capture major stuff. So all the equity market capital market cap wise exposures, sector top sector exposures, the drawdowns analysis, which is definitely a significant part, which tells us about the strength of the fund, and of course the on a portfolio level of the portfolio. That's definitely captured right here. That's the drawdowns analysis, and of course the month-on-month comparison charts. We can now throw the forum open for Q&A. If you have any questions, please type in the chat box, or you could directly unmute yourself to speak.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
हम लोग इंडिविजुअल यूएस के स्टॉक यहाँ देख सकते हैं क्या? जैसे इंडाइसेस देख सकते हैं हर कंट्री का, तो कोई यूएस का स्पेसिफिक स्टॉक फॉलो करना है या देखना है, ये हम लोग देख सकते हैं क्या?
मैम, हमारा ये प्लेटफॉर्म टोटली इंडिया फोकस्ड है, सो इसमें आउटसाइड ऑफ इंडिया के स्टॉक्स का डेटा नहीं है.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Prajakta. The question is, when you go to the funds, filtering the funds, you have so many categories and how do we do this stuff? Okay, but then if I am following a particular fund manager, the fund is base root of what fund manager and his team does. Though we are looking at all these ratios is one part. Is there an option through which I can just select, the longevity of the fund manager in the fund based on that?
So we do actually have the historical data for fund managers.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah, I have noticed that, but I am looking at a filter.
You mean to say you want to, let's say, look at the funds that one particular fund manager has been running?
No, what I'm saying is, for example, I do a filter where we go to filter section again and see here, when I'm trying to do a filter, assume on a return basis, minimum return of 10% for last 3 years, whatever. Now, the whole return concept comes in picture when you have a team behind there. There's a fund manager and its team. Now, if this team is stable for last 3 years, that means I believe that is the same performance can be repeated.
Right.
But in these 3 years or 5 years, whatever period I'm taking, if the fund managers have changed, then I might do a ratio, all this stuff here, but actual performance of the fund may differ. So I'll give you an example of DSP right now, asset allocation fund. It was with a guy who was managing debt portfolio. Now only they have shifted it to someone who is managing equity portfolio. Experiences huge difference between the experience of these two fund managers. So invariably strategies are going to change dramatically. So I don't know what's happening. I am tracking this, so I know well. But if I'm not tracking the this part, then for each fund, how I will be able to differentiate that? Yeah, come down. You'll see the recently they have changed. And you look at the earlier guy who was there from 2021, he was just majorly on debt portfolio.
So here, I mean, there's two things we can think of. One is we can probably have a length of time which shows the last fund manager change. Right?
Yes.
So
something should be, yes.
Yeah, that is one thing. The other thing that I would also mention is most of the data available in terms of the change of fund managers is not entirely accurate. Some of the time the data is updated quite a few months later. So it's one of the reasons that we did not create more fund manager specific analysis, because the data was not, I mean, it is fine, the data is there, but in many cases we see that the date of change that is mentioned is 3 months late, sometimes 6 months late. So if you're accept those caveats, then we can probably make a new column in the screener section which shows time period since last fund manager change.
Yes. I think you should allow, depends on who want to use it, and at least a caveat can be there at the bottom. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Prajakta, let's note that down as a feature request.
Yes, sir.
There's another question on the chat saying, is it possible to add real estate data as an index? The housing price index released by RBI. So Prajakta, let's write this down. So if this data is available freely online, then we will be able to add it. So we will check it out. Of course, it will be added just like any other index that you see on here. So there's another question saying what criteria to choose outperforming mutual funds. So the criteria is it's for you to decide. We've given you all the tools here where you can go to the compare section. You can check against a benchmark if it's outperforming an index or not. But NGEN will not tell you which criteria to choose. Obviously, that's up to each user, each advisor to kind of make their own minds up in terms of what a good criteria is. If you have any questions about criteria, that the criteria or filters that are not available, please do let us know, and we can help.
And another part is I just had a word with Projector today. So there is a report where you can have a client level comparison of the funds return with the benchmark index.
Right. Yes.
So when we look at the report generation, the whole last column is not getting converted into either a PDF or a PPT also.
Yes. So this actually, we have already talked about this today, and this has been passed to the development team. So I don't think it should take more than a week or two.
Yeah, exactly.
The
This
second column,
benchmark column, the whole column
it will show up in the PDF. The PDF will be released first. So this is definitely in development now. So
generally, how much time these guys take for these kind of development? These are not major, right?
this is not very big, so I would expect in a week to 2 weeks maximum you should have this. Now the second level, we'll to follow up with this release, we'll also add it in the PowerPoint as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, in SIP model we do, right?
Yeah.
So can we add a step up feature for SIP?
I see.
Section
So,
SIP
right.
returns. Yeah.
Okay. So you would like to add a step up during this period, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. And just so I understand correctly, so in this example, we start with 5,000 rupees installment from 2009, and maybe in 2015 or something, the 5,000 installment becomes 10,000. That's what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's a investor at 5,000 rupees per month every year. So
Yeah.
10,000, 10.5, 11 something.
Okay, understand. Yeah, we can definitely look at that. Projekta, let's write this down. Yeah.
And
thanks for suggestion.
yeah, and I feel that if it is possible, either we can give a percentage, fixed percentage rising every year, or fixed amount. If that option is given, that would help us.
Yeah, I think that should not be an issue. So you want to say once a year you increase your SIP by 10%, something like that?
Something like that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's yeah. We can work on that.
Yeah, because that will be a good addition for us actually.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any other questions, please just unmute and ask, or just type on the chat, please. If there's nothing else, we'll just give you a quick wrap up about the few small changes that are coming up in the next week or two. One of them is that the project, we quickly go to the compare section point to point. So, we're just making sure that you know that we are taking your feedback into account and working on them. This has been asked by many people. So, you can see analyze or absolute returns. But we will open up another option here, which will say amount of money. So you can put, say, 10 lakhs or something, and it will show you the growth of 10 lakhs between these dates for each column. So that is coming in the next release, which is, as I said earlier, 7 to 10 days. We will also add in the compare section the main list. Main list. Yeah. So here we will add Sortino ratio. This is something people have been asking for a while. We will also add R squared. And other than this, we also have small changes coming in, plus the benchmark column to be added in the PDF section. So these, you should be expecting them, these changes in the next couple of weeks. But other than that, thank you so much. Prajakta, we can close for today.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you again. You can definitely check out our YouTube videos. We will definitely be uploading the recordings of all of these webinars on YouTube channel. You just have to go on this YouTube channel, NGEN Markets, and we definitely upload all of the webinar recordings right here. You can see 56 of them have already been uploaded. You can also check shorts. We have close to 100 of them now. These are typically 1 odd minute shorts, and you can definitely go ahead and have a look at them. And that will definitely help you in answering some short queries that you might have about how to use and how to navigate through the platform. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great weekend ahead.